3 days ago was the 33rd anniversary of my arrival in Canada. I still remember it vividly. We landed here and I was just a child along with my brother, mom, and dad. Just as we landed, we got on a bus and we went on a 3-day trip across Canada to Montreal because we had this relative that I didn't even know who he was living in Montreal. I was sad. I'd left everything back home, friends, family. We had to leave on in a very sudden fashion, and that's a story for another day. But that Nowruz was in this relative's house in frigid, cold Montreal. Wasn't fun. I had mixed emotions because I was happy to have completed the journey. This journey from Iran to Canada was not something that was assured, let's put it that way. There was a lot of obstacles, a lot of ups and downs, ifs and buts. We didn't know if we're going to make it. We had finally made it. So that made me happy. But this Nowruz was very, very different. We were in a new country, didn't know anybody, cold. They spoke French, which is again another story for another day. But you know what? I was used to these mixed feelings. Back home growing up, I had mixed feelings about Nowruz. Almost all of it was happy, except for a couple things. One of them was that stupid homework that Sohail mentioned. I'll never forget. They used to give us this. It's almost like they hated the kids. They used to give us so much homework. I remember when by the time 8 days were over, I had a little thing across my finger from writing so much. I don't know what the punishment was about, but that was a part of it. The other thing that I didn't like was cleaning the house. My mom used to assign us chores, and we had to do this thing called khune tekuni, which literally means shaking the house. You know, like if you take something and shake it and all the garbage falls out, that's the idea. It's spring cleaning, right? But I hated doing it. We had to do this meticulous job of cleaning everything, and we had assignments that we had to do, and I just hated doing it. But as you've heard today from various wonderful speakers that we've had, there's so much more to these traditions, these beautiful, very, very ancient traditions that signify that transmutation of winter into spring, yes, but they also remind us as human beings of what is available to us, the transmutations that are available to us as human beings. How do we go from winter to spring as a human being? And this khune tekuni, or spring cleaning, is one of those. It took a few years later, after arriving in Canada and me crossing paths with my mentor and learning and learning and learning, to realize that there was a lot more to it. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. And I'm hoping that by the end of the speech, you'll be energized to go clean the house. How does that sound to everybody? Yeah, maybe not so much. All right, the first layer, the very obvious one, is cleaning your environment, right? Look around you, look at your desk. Is there clutter on your desk? Look at the room around you, beyond the room, going into your house. What about the yard, if you have any backyard, if you have a vehicle, all of that. It is an opportunity to go and do a thorough cleaning, to get rid of whatever you don't need anymore. Most of us have this habit of packing things that we don't need over time. The more space we have, the more junk we gather, and we just don't touch it. Someone gave me a rule a few years ago and said, if you haven't seen it in a year, you can get rid of it. You'll be able to live without it. So what a wonderful time to go through things. If you haven't seen them for a year, get rid of them, donate them, give them to somebody else that needs it. But that's the thing that everybody does. To this level, I was familiar with. I had never throughout growing up, I had dealt with this part of it. That's the part that I hated, doing the cleaning. But moving on, look at yourself. What thoughts do you have that reoccur over and over again? What are those stubborn mental processes that have been with you possibly for many, many years? Mariam talked about paying attention to yourself, observing yourself. If you don't do that, if you don't have that awareness, what's cleaning? That's secondary, right? You got to have that first. You got to be able to see the dirt in order to be able to clean it. Have you ever had that spot in the house that always looks clean, but the sun just hits it in a certain way and you go, oh my God, I got to clean this thing right. Maybe it's just me, but I have to go and clean it right there and then because it's some flaw that you see. If you go in front of the mirror and you see something in your face, you're motivated to go clean it. It's the same process. You got to do that with your thoughts. You got to pay attention to your thoughts to be able to do that. Next level down, a little bit deeper down. What about your emotions? What are some reoccurring emotions that you have? Think about that a little bit. If I asked you right now, who is a person that you don't really feel that great about? And I'm choosing my words wisely here. I didn't use the word hate because I'm sure nobody here hates anybody, right? Who's that one person that you just don't have those wonderful feelings about right now? Do you get a visual? Give them a call, maybe. Clear the air. Why not? Why carry that garbage? That's going to weigh you down. You're not going to be able to move forward if you have all of that weight on your shoulders. You got to let it go. I'll paint you a picture that my mentor, my teacher painted for me, and it was very, very visual. Imagine if you're really, really thirsty and you want to have a glass of clear water, but your cup's full. How are you going to drink water? You have to dump that cup first. You have to empty it completely before being able to fill it again with clear water. So do that. So this spring, while you watch the rejuvenation of nature, while you look outside at the trees that blossom, ask yourself, am I blossoming? Or am I still stuck in the past? Or is my winter not over yet? Do you want that transformation for yourself? Yes, if it's true, then you will go through that pain of letting go. It's all right. Yeah, it hurts a little bit, maybe. But afterwards, you feel fantastic. You come out of it feeling wonderful. So spring brings a lot of messages for us. We have to be observant. We have to be able to see those wonderful messages. Nature speaks to us continuously. Existence, whatever you want to call it, some of you might call it God, some of you call it energy, whatever you want to call it, I don't care what you call it. If you believe in some sort of a higher power beyond you, it conspires to make your dreams come true. But you have to be there. You have to be attentive. You have to let go of the junk in the past and make room for the blessings and the gifts that are being offered to you. If you don't do that, well, it's your fault, isn't it? You can't blame anybody for that. So go shake the house.